In this video, I'll be showing you how to replace a power steering rack bellows boot on a Nissan Sentra. It is located behind the front wheel. Let's get started. All right, first we're going to want to raise and support our vehicle. You're going to want to use a 21mm socket to remove these 5 21mm lug nuts. Let's remove our wheel. Now that we have the wheel out of the way, we could proceed to our tie rods. As you can see, we have now access to them. Let's start at our jam nut right in the middle. To break this free, I'll be using a 17mm wrench. Gonna give it a nice low pull. Now you can see it's broken free and spinning freely. Now that this is broken free, we'll be moving to our cotter pin. We'll be removing this and then tackling the castle nut after. So, I want to grab some cutters and just pry this up. Now we're going to grab the head and pry out. Now we'll use the 16mm to remove the castle nut. We want to ensure we leave the nut on by a couple threads. At this point, to remove the tie rod from the knuckle, we'll be hitting the knuckle with a hammer. Be careful not to cause any damage. Inspect it and set it aside. So now we're going to take this off of the knuckle. We're going to spin counterclockwise and count how many threads we remove this by. 1, 2, 3, 18, 19, 20. There it is, friend. Now we're going to set it aside and inspect it. Our number was 20 rotations. Might be different for your case. I recommend you write that down and keep that for later. Now we're going to remove our jam nut. For this, I'm going to be using some locking pliers to secure it. That is to make sure the whole shaft does not spin while I try to remove the nut. Using the 17mm. Now inspect it and set it aside. Now we're going to make our way up the shaft. We see we have a squeeze clamp. I'm going to be using some needle nose pliers and removing it. Now set it aside. Now we're going to proceed to the inside of the bellow boot. We're going to find a single-use clamp at the inside. I'll be using a pry bar and a hammer to get it loose. Dispose of it properly. Now we're going to proceed to removing the bellows boot. We're going to give this a nice pull. There it is. Let's get ready to install our new bellows boot. Now I'm going to reach inside and secure it around the power steering rack. As you can see, it's now secured around the steering rack. Now I'm going to use a wire tie. I'm going to make a loop to slide over the bellows boot. We're going to make sure the wire tie is seated around the whole rack and tighten it down. And now we're going to trim off any excess. Now we're going to move to the outer part of the bellows boot. We're going to secure this with a wire tie as well. Make sure that's tight and cut off any excess. Now we're going to put some anti-seize where the jam nut goes. Now bring your jam nut up to the approximate area to where you removed it from. Now we're going to apply some anti-seize to the threads of the inner tie rod. Now we're going to install our outer tie rod end. We're going to rotate it to as many times as it took to get it off. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to put the tie rod end up to the knuckle and secure it with a castle nut. You may have to adjust the stud, just twist it until it gets the right orientation to go up in the knuckle. Let's start that on to secure it in place. We're going to snug it down, then torque it. The torque for the castle nut is 25 foot-pounds. Now that it's torqued, we're going to continue with our cotter pin. You're going to want to make sure the studs on the castle nut align with the hole on the tie rod stud. If not, tighten a bit until it does. Now I'm going to use some cutters to secure this around the stud. Great. Now we're going to turn this counterclockwise until it bottoms out on the tie rod end. One last quick inspection before we reinstall our wheel. Now let's get the wheel placed and install all 5 of our lug nuts. We're going to tighten these up in a crisscross pattern. Now that my wheel is on the ground, I'm going to torque the fasteners to 83 foot-pounds in a crisscross pattern. Now that's all for our installation. Remember, you do need an alignment. Take the vehicle out for a road test, and thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.